Okay, so just about to have a chat with Charles Lane. He's the scriptwriter behind a script called A Woman Untitled. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Festival.
Thank you, Steve.
So, yeah, if you could start by giving us a brief synopsis, and well done with the nomination, by the way.
Thank you.
If you give us a brief synopsis of the script and sort of tell us what the story's about.
Sure. Well, the one thing that I hate doing is giving a log line, but I'm going to read my log line.
Give us the log line.
And it's about a woman at war with her inner desires, and who descends into a surrealistic dreamscape of guilt, jealousy, motherhood, and murder, leading her to the brink of madness. It sounds a little more dramatic.
No,
than,
it's beautifully delivered.
And a synopsis of the film really is, it's not necessarily a traditional format. It's three connecting stories.
Right.
That during the film you start getting the feeling that this is actually one woman's story, and she's become two other women.
So it's a troika.
It's a troika, yes.
I bet you wish you'd use that word now.
I really do. I'm going to change everything. But the whole script is a riddle that only I can break, because I have little clues everywhere that, you know, I guess if you've read it more than once, you'll probably be able to pick up on the clues.
Right.
But it's basically her dream that she goes into, based on the fact that her whole life, to her, starts feeling like a waste, and none of her desires have come true. The only thing that she's really accomplished is having a young daughter who is really an art prodigy, which she is not, and it's about her guilt, basically willing her daughter dead.
Oh, okay.
So it's her descent into
Guilt
this.
or jealousy?
It's both.
Oh, okay.
But it's really about her guilt, because she adores her daughter, but she can't let go of the jealousy, and she can't let go of the jealousy of her mother, who's a successful artist, and her father, who she alludes to the fact that he was a pedophile.
Right. Okay.
And is starting to have ideas that her husband is a pedophile, but this is all in her dream.
Right. Okay.
So all of her neuroses surface during this dream.
And have you always been a writer? And if you have always been a writer, has it been scripts? Or sorry, I'm sort of waffling on a bit, but yeah, if you can give us an idea of your background.
Sure. Well, I'm a television producer.
Right.
I write sometimes. I do a lot of. I'm a field producer, so I do a lot of story development, and then I go out into the field and interview, and put the story together. I don't necessarily write all the stories, all the shows that I do. I've never written a feature. This is my first feature.
Right, because that kind of led me on to the question, which was, I imagine a lot of people assume that writing a story and writing a script are similar, but I know it's a completely different. Yeah, I know. Can you explain? Is it possible you can explain the difference? I mean, how much more? Because I imagine writing a script is more difficult, if I'm honest, but I don't know. But to go from one kind of writing technique to another, how does that work?
I think what happens to I grew up watching film.
Yeah.
Maniacally my whole life, starting with English films when I was very young. Richard Burton, Peter O'Toole.
They're the best.
Film, which is why I'm
Best
here,
actors.
I guess. Yes, Beckett was my first film. I was about 4 when I fell in love with it, and watched it yearly, afterwards. But I also, at a certain age, started reading a lot of literature. And I think in the back of my mind, I've done a lot of different careers in my life. I've been an actor and a rock musician.
Oh, right. So you've been involved in, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was in the music business. I'm very musical. I'm very much into music. But when I always had the desire to write a novel, and when you start, but I went to grad school and I majored in film,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I did a short film, and I realized, which I think it's common knowledge now, but wow, when you write a script, you can't explain what's going on in the person's head. I mean, you don't get in the person's head. You have to see it. You have to see it with action. You have to see it with words, but you can't really talk about it. Whereas a novel, you can
Visualize.
You can visualize. Well, you can actually lay out a person's psychosis without showing it. And in a film, if you do that, everyone's going to walk out. So the difficult part about writing this script, especially, which is really about a woman's psychosis, and it is based on someone.
Well, that was going to be a question. Where did the idea come from? Because I'm guessing there's a germ of.
There was
something.
a germ of someone I used to know,
Right.
who I think is a little healthier now, but it you know, when you have to, even though I grew up watching hundreds and hundreds of films, when you actually sit down to write it, you say, how do I show this without telling it?
I mean, do you literally, just imagine this, you're about to write, you go, fuck, okay, now I've got to do it. And then it's like, I'm not saying you have a brain freeze, but you kind
Well,
of
you
know
do.
Well,
You have a
maybe
big
you do,
brain freeze.
But I mean, how do you get going? How do you get started?
I think the way to get started, is I make copious notes, and I constantly make notes, and I think about the story for a long time before I actually start typing it on the computer. Before I get Final Draft involved at all, so I know the characters before I start putting words in their mouth. That's how it's worked for me. I'm writing a short now, and I've been writing it for about a month, and I have not attempted final draft at all yet, because I'm not ready. I have to know the characters. So I knew this character very well when I started putting, script on page, I think.
And when you're doing that, you mentioned about this final draft, because to be honest, I've never really got a clue. But I guess what you mean is you've got, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've got the story, it's pretty much how you want it, so it's 90%, 95%, but the final draft is just, polishing it up and just finishing it? Is that might be oversimplified,
no.
I don't know.
No, what happens is now people work differently. I worked really the only way I knew how. I don't know how to follow rules. I mean, I do in life, but
when it's writing.
But when I sat down to write this, they usually tell you, write out your script. So if you're writing a 120-page script, take 6 weeks. Every week, write 40 pages, whatever you can. Every day, try to write 5 pages, get it down, and then do your second draft, do your third draft. I wasn't able to work that way. So I was writing and rewriting as I was going.
Right.
And I guess a smart thing that I did was I did a table read after maybe having written it maybe about 6 months in.
Oh, that's
I
interesting.
did a table read for about 20 people with, really, I think I had about 20 actors. I know a lot of people in theater, but I invited a lot of people I didn't know, and the feedback was amazing, but I was able, because it wasn't professional feedback, so it wasn't as jarring, I was able to take that feedback and do more drafts and more drafts.
Right.
But I found that even my new drafts, I was doing as I went. Suddenly I'd be walking to work and think, oh, act 25, that's not right. And I had another idea, so I'd go back, and change it, or put a song in, or put this in, or put, and I just kept adding layers to it that I hope made it better. But I've been getting invited to more festivals.
And
so.
you're obviously doing something like, so with the table, with that, I'm assuming that really does help them, because they may say, oh, I love the story, but I would suggest that...
Or I didn't understand.
Okay, right,
this.
okay.
There was a lot of that.
Right.
And it's difficult to sit through. I was sitting through as the author, and I know you're a little more delicate than the audience, but it's difficult to sit through a 120-page read.
Yeah,
it's boring. It gets boring.
Yeah, that's like a 2-hour film.
You know,
isn't it?
I was lucky that I got a college theater student that I went to Florida State Theater School with, who has a very Shakespearean voice, who did the narration.
So you've got Ian McKellen there.
His voice is at least as good.
Oh my God.
So it made a difference, you know, in the read. I think maybe people stop listening and they just start listening to the sound of his voice.
And I hate asking people, in fact I don't ask people what their favourite film is because I think it's a trap and you might have 10 favourites, so it's not a good question, but I would like to ask, if you had a couple of films that you could say they are, to me, the epitome of superb scripts. I mean, have you got a couple of examples that really shine?
Superb scripts?
Yeah, as in the screenplay, you know.
Yeah.
It's really well written. It comes across on screen.
Rosemary's Baby is one of my favorite films of all time. A few Hitchcocks, Chinatown.
Oh, wow.
I'm really
a Polanski fan then.
I'm a massive Polanski fan.
Yeah.
So I give you more Polanski films and more Hitchcock. There's a small, lesser-known Hitchcock film that I love, Frenzy, that actually takes place in Covent Garden.
That was the second to last film, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Family Affair was final, wasn't it?
And, I love that film.
Brilliant film.
I could watch it every 2 weeks.
Because you know, a quick interest, and you probably know this, the interesting story about the lead actor, I can't remember his name, he passed away a few years ago, but he was cast as the role of Kane in Alien, you know, the chestburster scene. But he had a terrible reaction to, I something to do with some of the makeup using, and he had a really horrific allergic reaction, and his place was filled by, who's the guy that just died? John Hurt. John Hurt.
Wait, in what? I'm sorry.
So the guy that was in Frenzy that played the lead.
John Finch.
John Finch. Yeah, that's it. He was cast as the role of Kane in Alien. You know, the chestburster scene, famous one.
Okay.
But had a horrific reaction on set.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think, and they had to, he couldn't finish film, so they then asked John Hurt to take the role, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Because I know Finch died years ago, didn't he? It was a long time.
Yeah, he was pretty young.
He was young,
yeah.
But it's a fantastic film.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who the scriptwriter was on Chinatown, not Robert Bolt, I can't remember. It's
Robert Town.
Town,
that's
Town,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Fantastic.
It is a great film.
But I mean, I like, I can go on about great scripts.
No, carry on.
There's an Argentinian filmmaker named Lucrecia Martel, who's only made 3 films because she's been in production on her 4th film for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Every one of her scripts is perfect, I think. Her first film was called La Ciénaga, then The Holy Girl, and then Headless Woman.
Right.
And they're really brilliant films. And she doesn't get outside of South America, and I think in the Americas she gets attention. In Britain, I don't know. I don't live
So
there.
you know what I'm going to ask you, but what makes a script a great script, in your opinion?
Well, I think
it's a tough one to answer, I know, but there's presumably.
I think what makes a great script is I don't want to say it because I'm pretentious, but I'm a very literate person, and if you can bring a sense of literature and a sense of thoughtfulness, even if it's Frenzy, which is a horrific. But I have a scene, very brief scene from Frenzy in the screenplay.
Right, okay.
It's on TV,
So you stole it
because I have to throw it in wherever I can. But I think that one of my favorite filmmakers was the American director Joseph Losey, who made a lot of films in Britain. And his films, now he didn't write them, but he worked with Harold Pinter a lot.
Yeah,
he did write.
Death in Venice, did he? Was that
no,
one of his? That was
no, that was Death in Venice was Visconti.
Visconti, right,
but
okay.
Joseph Losey did Accident and The Go-Between, and he did Steaming, which was I think his last film. But there was a certain literateness and beauty, you know. So he had both. He had the literature element, and he also had great cinematographers. The film Accident is absolutely beautiful. With it's Dirk Bogarde and Michael York.
Right.
I think it takes place in Oxford or Cambridge, and it's about professors and an accident and infidelity, but it's just brilliant, nasty. I like nasty scripts.
Yeah, I mean,
with humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of a really. I mean, I'm no expert. I'm trying to think of the one with Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier.
Oh, that's great.
The one with only
Clue.
two.
No.
Yeah, you know the one I mean, don't you?
Yeah, I was just reading about it.
Schaefer, I think Schaefer wrote it.
Yeah.
But brilliantly written.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously they've done a remake, which was as usual crap because they always are. But I love it because I know what I like about it. I love there's really only two characters in it.
Oh,
but it's so well written.
Yeah.
Because that's the danger, I guess. If you're going to have two characters, it's got to be brilliantly written,
Yeah.
and that is bloody such a well-made film.
I think at the end of the filming of that, Olivier said to Michael Caine, "Wow, you're a really good actor," and he didn't say that lightly. So I can't think of the name of it.
Oh,
it's not. I keep saying Clute, but
it's not a Clue. It's not.
Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
It'll come to. I walk away and I think.
Okay.
But you know the film I'm talking about.
Yeah,
of course,
very well.
Actually, was it? Oh no, it was Schaefer that wrote that, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it's either Peter or his brother.
Yeah, because
one
because one didn't do Amadeus as well.
One did Amadeus, one did Equus.
And the Wicker Man. One done the Wicker Man.
Wicker Man, and I think one of them wrote the screenplay to Frenzy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ah, you see.
Yeah. So it runs in the family.
Yeah, good choices, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I know obviously you're getting recognition for this one, and it's obviously doing well. What else is happening right now in terms of your writing?
I'm writing a short. I'll read you the log line to the short. So I lived at the end of Reaganomics, the Reagan years.
I remember Reaganomics.
I lived in the Lower East Side in New York.
Yeah.
And didn't necessarily want to be there, but I became part of what you would call the music scene there. There were a lot of drugs that I wasn't necessarily part of, but
I would have been.
I'm not gonna own up to that.
Yeah.
But it was a very, people glorify it and romanticize that time because a lot of bands came out of that time. A lot of artwork, Basquiat, someone else that I can't think of right now.
Some of his stuff, didn't he?
What?
Basquiat.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he did, because I seem to remember after he died they were selling it. Anyway, as usual, I'm going off piece here, sorry.
No, so I lived for about 4 years. I lived in a basement flat on Delancey Street and Clinton Street, which was the worst ghetto and dangerous. And I worked in a record store and used to come home at midnight. And sometimes there were police security guards would drive me home because they didn't want me taking the subway.
Seriously?
Yeah, New York at that time was dangerous and kind of depressing, and I lived in a basement, so we got no light.
Yeah.
And we played music all the time and stayed up 48 hours, and so it's based on, it's a short, and I don't think I would need more than 25 pages to tell this story. It's about a group of friends who, it's a psychological detective story set in the crack-ravaged Lower East Side bohemian culture of Reagan's America.
Brilliant.
And that's exactly what it is. But a detective breaks into doesn't break in, but basically he's a Columbo, walks into their kind of debauchery and their avant-garde music making and drug taking, and questions them about a friend of theirs who's murdered in the courtyard. But he starts picking away at each one of them, and then he leaves. And they're too frightened to go up and see if he was lying, who he was.
Right.
So it's called a kind of Cold War.
A kind of Cold War.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's.
Well, the era, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, and Reagan's State of the Union is playing during. So that's my next project. I'm hoping. Because my experience is in television. I'm a TV producer.
Yeah.
And trying to switch gears and move into fiction, I'm trying every avenue, So
And I know we're right at the beginning of Trump's presidency, but already I can see millions of people must have millions of ideas.
A big Cold War.
I mean, you know, this guy that
Yeah.
went yesterday, didn't he? The guy that went yesterday already. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unparalleled, really.
Yes, I don't have to base it.
No, it's happening, isn't
Yeah.
it?
The only thing is that apartment that I lived in costs $4,000 a month now.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's not a, you know,
Yeah,
it's
but
not a cold water
it's like
flat.
here, over there, I mean, 35 years ago, this was done, frankly. And now there's apartments over there, a couple of $1 million, pounds.
They're all beautiful, and they're right on the river.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
you know, this is how it's changed, isn't it?
Yeah, New York's changed a lot too. So.
Charles, brilliant.